even though you may feel like you're saving a lot by, saving that state income tax, you may pay those taxes in different form. So I would say really do your research. Don't just move here because it's cheaper. And the selection is also incredible. Like if you want Asian food, because it is a little confusing and there's just so many different freeways that it's definitely hard for a lot of people to get used to, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, is very, very different from the weather in California. So it's a big yearly cost, and $75 is not a lot of money, but over $500 to pay yearly, it's quite a lot. I feel like people are like us, just still live in the city, so I feel like we just left too early. Enough for the cons. Like there is also a lot of pros of living here, and that's why I'm so conflicted. Hey everyone, in today's video I'm gonna chat with you about living in Texas. As you may know, we moved to Texas last year in January, so it's been a year and a half since we've been living here, and there was a lot that happened. We bought a house. We renovated this house, and I think I still want to make a couple of videos about the renovation process, how much it cost, and like how to deal with contractors, because well, there's a lot to say. But yeah, this living in Texas was very different from my expectations, and I think not a lot of people tell you this, so I want to just like mention a lot of things that I've just was totally a shock for me. So maybe if you are thinking about moving here, well, you should probably consider all of these things. And a little background about me: I'm originally from Poland. I moved to the United States in 2017, and I've been living mostly in California, and we decided to leave LA in January 2021. Well, we've been thinking about moving for a few months before that. And if you lived in California during pandemic, everything was closed. Like a lot of small businesses unfortunately shut down, and it was very sad. It was literally just like we had a lot of like small restaurants that we like to go to, and I was so sad to see those people leave. And it was a very sad place to live during pandemic. There was also a big increase in crime, especially in the area in Santa Monica where we lived. If you know, like Santa Monica used to be one of the safest places, and it's changed. It's changed a lot during pandemic, and we didn't feel safe in our apartment. There was a lot of break-ins. At certain times, it was very scary to be there, to live there. So we decided to leave LA, especially that Tony my husband, he really wanted to move here because of his family. His dad had some health issues, and we just felt like it was the right time to just, move and be close to his family, support them. So yeah, we thought it was a good time to move. I honestly never really saw Texas as like a forever place. I always thought about it as a temporary move. Like it never really, inspired me. It never really grabbed me like, oh, I really want to move to Texas. It was mostly a compromise, to be completely honest with you guys. And I was excited. I was excited to move at the time because there was also not that many cases. In the area at least that we were moving, so we felt like it would feel safer than staying in LA, where the cases were really high at the time. So we actually felt like we had to hide. So yeah, basically it was an exciting move during pandemic, and it felt like the right thing to do at the time. But there is a lot of things that no one told me about, and living here for a year and a half, well, I feel like I experienced a lot, and I have to share it, I gotta share it. And the first thing that I'm gonna start with is the weather. So a lot of people told me that the weather in Texas is very similar to California. It's mild, the winters are not so harsh, and it's warm in summer, but it's like it's pretty mild. You will get used to it. Well, let me tell you, the weather in Texas, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, is very, very different from the weather in California. One person actually told me that like the weather here reminds them of the weather in Florida. They lived in both places, and that's what they told me. And I was like, huh, that's very interesting. I guess. And well, I can see the similarities between humidity, especially. It gets very hot here and very humid, and it's pretty extreme. You will not see anyone walking here, anyone like outside during the day in summer, because it's so hot and humid that people like, I mean, it will make you nauseous. Like, it's very uncomfortable. So everyone just sits in air-conditioned rooms, buildings. You know, people travel here by car. They don't really walk anywhere, at least in my area. So that's something that like you gotta get used to, and you gotta be okay with. I'm a pretty outdoorsy person. I love to be outside. I love hiking. I just like spending time outside. Like, I'm so happy if I can just take my laptop and work outside on the balcony or in my yard. Like, I'm just so happy. That makes me so happy. And I can't really do it here because of the weather and because of all the bugs and insects. And there's a lot. Like, it was such a huge change from living in LA and not dealing with any insects. Like, I don't remember like even getting bit by a mosquito. I forgot how it feels. And I'm from Poland, like we have a lot of mosquitoes in summer, but in LA, like I didn't really experience that. And well, it changed when I moved here, and there's just so many different bugs. Like, they're big, and there's a lot. So if you don't like insects, like, I would say it's kind of similar to Florida when it comes to insects. There's a lot of them. And winters are harsh. And people tell me all the time, like, oh, we never get snow. Well, we moved here in January 2021 when there was that big snowstorm that paralyzed the whole Texas, and like we lost electricity for a few days. It was not great. It was so cold, like -18 Fahrenheit. Like, it was crazy cold, and we couldn't run heater. We couldn't, like, the water just like froze in pipes. It was insane. And well, we had another storm this year. It snowed, and the whole city was just paralyzed. And you know, when like I'm used to snow. Like, I'm from Poland. Like, it snows every year, and it's not a big deal because if you live in a country or in a state where there is snow like regularly, like they have, you know, snow plows and like everything, like their infrastructure is made to withstand harsh weather. In Texas though, they just never expect winter storms, and we were stuck here for 3 days straight. Unfortunately, we don't live that close to any like restaurants or stores. We could walk to a few restaurants, but they actually closed during the winter storm. So we couldn't leave our house because all the roads were icy, and we were stuck. So if you live in Colorado, like you won't have any issues. If it snows, you can still go and drive, not a big deal. Well, it's very different in Texas when it snows. So as for the weather, my weather rant is over. But I would say like that's a huge negative for me. And another thing that no one mentions is that allergies here are insane. I had no idea, but when we moved here and we started to like have sinus issues and allergies, like we started researching, and we realized that Dallas is like the worst place in the whole United States for allergies. Like, you will have different trees, different grasses, like all year long there will be something. And we went to the allergy specialist here, and I found out that I'm not allergic to anything, yet my husband is allergic to literally everything. So it's very interesting, especially that we have very similar symptoms. So even though I have no allergies, we both will get headaches, and we both will have stuffy nose and just like sinus pains. Like, I don't know why, it just, the weather changes are so extreme here. Like, it can snow one day and the next day it will be super hot and humid. So the weather changes are definitely not helping me feel good. And it's possible, like, that's what my doctor told me, like, that probably the weather changes I'm just so sensitive to. It's definitely not making me feel great. And my husband is taking allergy shots for a few months now, and well, he says that it's helping, but it's a whole thing, and it's not cheap, and it's very time consuming too. So just, it's an option for people, but I'm just saying, like, if you have allergies, you may want to stay away, because even though you can sit inside, and keep your AC running, like, I feel like you will still get issues from allergies. Like, at least I know a person who sits home all day and she still has issues with allergies, even though she doesn't really go for walks and anything. So it's a big issue for a lot of people. And even though I have no allergies, I still experience issues. Another thing is friends. So people here are very friendly. You probably heard about Southern hospitality, and yes, people here are just, it's a community, and people here are very friendly, very helpful, and it's nice. It's definitely nice. Like, we have very nice neighbors. I mean, we have issue with one neighbor, but a lot of our neighbors are just so sweet, so helpful, and it really feels like a community. And I don't know, maybe it is partially because, like, a lot of people here are very religious, so maybe because of that. Like, I know that the nice neighbors go to church like every week, so I don't know. Yeah, people are just very nice, friendly, and helpful, and it's sweet. It's sweet to interact with them, but we couldn't really make any, like, deeper connections, deeper friendships. Every, like, relationship that we have here, like, it's very shallow, it's just like acquaintances. I feel like it's mostly because we are very different. People here, I feel like, live very simple life, and there's nothing wrong with that. But both me and my husband, we are very ambitious, and I feel like we have a lot of interests that people in the city have. And I don't know, like, I feel like it's hard to, like, just, I don't know, get used to it, for us at least. Like, our neighbors, they would invite us to, watch sports game and drink beer, and like, we hate sports and we don't drink alcohol, so no thanks. It's awful. I feel so bad because they are so sweet, but we literally have nothing in common with them, and we have no kids yet, so I feel like a lot of people here also, at least in our community, they're older with kids. I feel like people are like us, just still live in the city. So I feel like we just left too early. So yeah, we couldn't really make friends here, which, I don't know, like, possibly, like, I subconsciously trying to stay away from people because I don't really want to live here long term. I think about it, like, is it possible? But I don't know, like, I feel like I would be a lot more open to make friends. I am open, but it just, like, I don't know, I feel like people are, like, happy to just, from a distance stay away, like, they don't really want to get to know us. So it is what it is. I do miss my friends back in LA. And in California, like, I have just a lot of friends all over California, and it's I don't know, I miss them. Like, it was so much easier to make friends there, and possibly because, like, there was a lot of people moving there, so they weren't from there, they wanted to make friends. And here I've noticed that people just lived here, like, their whole life. They know their family, their neighbors, and it's very, very different. I think they're just not that open to, like, make friends because they already have so many of them, if that makes sense. That's why, if you move to a city where a lot of new people come every year, like, I feel like you will have a lot more possibilities to make friends because other people want to make friends. So yeah, that's something that I've been thinking about. And I miss my family back in Poland. Like, I can take a connection flight to Poland, but I've noticed that they're not that cheap, and I had a non-stop flight from LA to Warsaw, and I could get a really good deal on it, so it wasn't that expensive, and it was so convenient not to have to deal with connection flights. So I miss that, especially like if I want my family to visit, it will be also easier for them to just take one flight instead of, you know, a few flights in different airports. It's stressful. That's what it is. And I don't know, like I thought I would be visiting my family more often, and it just didn't happen. And another thing which probably most people won't care about, but if you're an immigrant like me, the Dallas USCIS has so many delays. I didn't realize that, but I mean, probably a lot of people moved here. I don't think they have a lot of people working for the Dallas USCIS. Like in California, like there was always a ton of people moving there, especially foreigners. So I feel like they have a lot more employees and a lot more also centers, a lot more centers. So even though like there were delays with the USCIS back in California, they were still at least making some updates to my case, and I applied last year and they still didn't update my case. It's been so many months already, and there was literally no updates. And I've been reading about it, and it seems like a lot of people who are waiting for updates with their cases, with green cards, with citizenship, like they've been waiting and there are no updates. And people in different states, they already got their green cards, they already got their citizenships, like, and they applied the same at the same time. So that's something to think about if you are planning to apply for a green card or for a US citizenship. You may experience delays in Dallas area. There was a lot of people moving here, especially in the last few years, because it is an attractive place to move. So I don't think they were anticipating that, especially with USCIS, and I just don't think they had enough people to go through all the cases. So yeah, that was definitely a surprise to me. Enough for the cons. Like there is also a lot of pros of living here, and that's why I'm so conflicted. There's a lot of good things to talk. I'm gonna start with food. So food in Dallas is insanely good. There's a reason why we spend a lot more money on eating out, because the food is just very good here, and the selection is also incredible. Like if you want Asian food, Carlton is amazing. There's just a huge Asian population. So if you want ramen, go to Ramen Akira. Amazing ramen, like much better than anything I had in LA. If you want boba, there is Feng Cha, there's Tiger Sugar, there is like all the other like also chain boba places that we had in LA and in California in general. A part of Boba Guys, that's one con, but there's just such a selection of Asian food, of just like, you know, boba places. It's insane. A lot of Mexican food as well that tastes amazing. There's everything. I mean, obviously there's also barbecue. There is so much good food. Like we found a great like alternatives. Like there is also a great Indian place, Delhi 6. We found alternatives for all of our like favorite restaurants in LA. I mean, food is great, but it is more expensive than in LA, which was a surprise to us. Like for example, one Mexican restaurant we like to go to, they have enchiladas for $17, while in LA we would pay like max of $12 per meal. So it's kind of like, it's very pricey, you know. It's usually like $5 more per meal. So it is very interesting that food is more expensive here, at least, you know, when you're eating out, but it's also very good. So just something I wanted to mention. But yeah, no traffic. If you're from LA, you deal with traffic all the time, right? But yeah, unless you live in downtown Dallas, if you just live in, you know, Dallas Fort Worth area, there's not that much traffic unless there was an accident. But we've lived here for 1.5 years and we barely experienced any traffic. So that's great. They really did great work when it comes to like building freeways and connecting all the different cities around Dallas-Fort Worth. So I gotta mention that they did a great job. There's so many freeways that you may get actually confused, and I see a lot of people like changing lanes last second because they took different freeway that they planned. So they could do a better job naming the freeways, because it is a little confusing and there's just so many different freeways that it's definitely hard for a lot of people to get used to. There's a ton of aggressive drivers here, and everyone here drives over speed limits. So if speed limit is 70, people will be driving 80, 85 with a lot of cars on the road. Yes, there is no traffic, but you will get a lot of aggressive drivers and just a lot of like road rage. So I don't know, like I always feel like I'm gonna get re-rendered because just people are so like angry and always tailgating. Okay, another pro is obviously affordable housing. Housing prices in whole United States were increasing in the past year, so it's not just Texas, it's all over, but you can still find affordable houses here. Like you can find houses below 400, 300 in still pretty good and safe areas. And in LA, like if you find a house for less than $1 million, it's gonna be like a total, like you'll have to get the whole place, or it's not in the safest area. It's very hard to find something below $1 million in LA. That's just the reality. And here you can still find very nice houses for not a lot of money in safe areas with great schools. So I would say, if you have family, like Texas is a very attractive location, And another thing which is great here is safety. I definitely feel much safer here than I felt in California, especially in LA. It just like I can go by myself for a walk even in the evening at night, and I feel safe. It's great, definitely like I feel like crime here is not as high as in California. I've noticed that it's been increasing, unfortunately. It's probably because of inflation and everything that is going on in the economy, but still, like, I feel pretty safe here. It's a safe area. Another thing is that there is no income tax, and obviously I think everyone knows that already. And having no income tax, like, it's a nice plus, but you gotta remember that property taxes here are much more expensive. It's I think 2.2% versus 0.7 in California. So there is a big difference. So if you're moving here from California and you expect to pay the same property taxes, you will be very disappointed. It's pricey, so you gotta remember to pay your property taxes, and they are not cheap. It's a lot of money. So I would say, you save some money here, but then you pay more here, and you can't forget about it. If you're moving here just to save money, income tax, well, you might be disappointed. There are a lot of things that are cheaper here, like registration renewal. I used to pay over $500 in California, and here I paid $75 for the same car. So it's a big yearly cost, and $75 is not a lot of money, but over $500 to pay yearly, it's quite a lot. So you will definitely save money here in some places. That's the motivator for a lot of people to move to Texas from California, just because of those taxes and cheaper prices for some things. But I would say you gotta find some different reasons. Like if you are just moving here because it's cheaper, I don't know. It's very different here in Texas, and you may not like it as much as you think. So I would say, yes, I can confirm, it's nice not to pay so much money in, income tax, or, not to pay so much for registration, but everything else is like the same price or even more expensive than in California. Sales tax is technically more expensive here than in Orange County, where we used to live. So if you like to buy stuff, you will actually pay more in taxes here than in Orange County. Even though you may feel like you're saving a lot by, saving that state income tax, you may pay those taxes in different form. So I would say really do your research. Don't just move here because it's cheaper. That's it for this video. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to check out my other 2 videos, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.